Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is just another critic. We're finishing off my Week 11 college football predictions with the upset alert picks. There are two particular matchups that I'm pointing out for my upset alert picks. The second one, I'm not so sure I can call an upset. First one, number 12 Baylor at TCU. I think TCU isn't necessarily the greatest team, but I think they're good enough to beat a team like Baylor. Baylor, especially in these past few weeks, have been playing teams very close, and then you go on the road at TCU. Baylor just recently struggled versus Texas Tech, versus West Virginia, and so I think this will be another close game for Baylor. Especially with the type of defense that TCU has shown to be able to play in the past. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Baylor, I would like to see them win, right? And eventually play Oklahoma as an undefeated team. And if Baylor's good enough, it would be cool to see them in the college football playoff. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. Moving along, the second matchup is Kansas State ranked at, let me double check that. They're sitting at 16th in the country right now, Kansas State. They're going to be playing against Texas in Texas, so that's going to be a tough matchup for them. Texas is favored by 6 at home. And so while K-State is ranked much higher, Texas isn't even ranked anymore at this point in the season. They could finish ranked. We'll see what happens. But at this point, they aren't. They are getting 7 points against this Kansas State team. Now, it's not necessarily an upset from the Vegas perspective, right? They are giving Texas 7 points. But as far as from a ranking to unranked opponent, I do think Texas has a good chance of pulling off the upset. But of course, as we know already, Texas just hasn't been playing defense all season long, and I'm not sure that trend is going to change this week against Kansas State. Maybe they'll be motivated to beat a highly ranked team in Kansas State, sitting at 16th in the country, but we will never know, right? We're going to find out this weekend. And Texas really right now playing for a bowl berth. The notable game of the week to watch out for, outside of the ones I already covered in my predictions, is going to be Wisconsin at home versus Iowa. Essentially, the winner of this game is giving themselves a pretty good chance at playing in the Big Ten Championship. I understand right now Minnesota is in the driver's seat. They'll be taking on Penn State this weekend as well. I've already covered that in my predictions. And so barring, the result of that game with the expectation that Penn State will win, Minnesota will have one loss on their record. They're still going to have to play Iowa as well as Wisconsin and Northwestern. Assuming Iowa beats them, that'll put them at 2 losses. And then that would really essentially be decided by the head-to-head between Wisconsin and Minnesota. Minnesota playing at home. And really the winner of that game would essentially put themselves in the Big Ten Championship. With that being said, in this matchup, Wisconsin versus Iowa, it's going to be another battle of defenses. I think Wisconsin does have the advantage playing at home, and with the way Nate Stanley has been performing under pressure, I don't think they have a good chance of winning this game. Iowa, that is. I've talked about them multiple times. I think they've got talent at the wide receiver position, especially in number 6. I can't remember his name right now. But as far as the running backs go, they're pretty much a running back by committee. And this Wisconsin defense is still very good. I understand they've just gotten beat up by Ohio State, but really I'm not sure anyone is going to be able to stop or slow down Ohio State this season until the college football playoff. And so keeping that in mind, I think this Wisconsin defense is going to show up very motivated in order to really, show that Ohio State game isn't going to define us. And they're going to put on a phenomenal performance. I think they're going to be able to get to Nate Stanley quickly and very often. It's just going to be a tough day for Nate Stanley in the pocket. I think Wisconsin's going to do what they do on offense. They're going to establish themselves at the line of scrimmage, dominate at the line of scrimmage. I think Jonathan Taylor has a big day. Probably goes for around 150, a few receptions for roughly 30-plus yards, and around 3 touchdowns. Not putting himself anywhere near the Heisman conversation, but certainly keeping his draft stock up. But with that being said, I have Wisconsin winning it 24-13. Once again, Wisconsin wins 24-13. With that being said, appreciate you guys for listening. Thanks for following the channel. Follow me on my podcast. All the links are in the description for my social media. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. This is Just Another Critic, signing off. Peace.
Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw. Some say it's